Hey everyone, Adam here, So Is Your Podcast, and I have a movie review for you guys today. The movie we're reviewing today is called The Letters. It's written and directed by Robbie Walsh, and it follows the very real, very tragic cervical check scandal that happened in Ireland just a few years ago. My very basic understanding of this from watching the movie is that there were, I believe it was 230, but over 200 women who were told they did not have cervical cancer when in fact they did. So they didn't seek the proper treatments. Maybe they got treatments for other things that what their ailments could have been. Whatever it was, really bad medical practices led to a lot of tragedy, a lot of pain, and a lot of deaths for a lot of people. This is very heavy subject matter. I know that might not be for everybody, but this is a well-made, well-crafted docudrama. It is documenting a real case or real cases, but it's a dramatized version to let you feel and experience what these people were who were not being filmed at the time because they're normal, regular people. And the real kicker, at least the thing that really got to me, was once the medical establishments found out that their tests were coming back incorrect, to not admit liability, they didn't reach out to hardly any of the women. I believe it was like 1 or 2% of the women actually got a call saying, hey, test might have been wrong. We should probably look into this. The rest were just hung out to dry. And it's horribly tragic. So taking on a movie such as this from writer-director Robbie Walsh, I believe is very important. And also for his cast, his core cast being Sarah Carroll, Kathleen Warner-Yates, and Mary Murray. These are not household names to me. This is very much an Irish-made, Irish-set movie. It's a much smaller pool for movies in other countries than Hollywood. You know, we have this big machine that's kind of our only export at this point. Anyway, the movie itself, The Letters, follows 3 different women at different stages in their lives. Cleona, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that name wrong, played by Sarah Carroll, is a professional who's kind of being treated unfairly at work. She is single, no kids, no husband, no spouse. And it follows how the misdiagnosis and the impending health problems affect her. Then there's Kathleen Warner-Yates, who plays Mary, who is a caretaker to an elderly woman who, I believe it's dementia, early stages dementia. She's kind of losing her mind. And it's a very tragic story in itself with the cervical scandal aside. Then you have Sam, played by Mary Murray, who is a mother, single mother of, I believe it was 4 kids. She's stressed. She's broke. She's dealing with what seem to be loan sharks, just trying to make ends meet, trying to get through the day, and then add this on top of it. So a lot of tragedy across the board. There's no way around it. This is a very heavy movie to watch. I actually had to watch it in 2 parts. It's just a lot to take in. And it's so well done that you forget that these 3 women are actually acting. You forget that they're not a documentary crew following these people in their lives. It feels like them experiencing it, going through their lives, and dealing with the fallout of this huge breach in medical ethics. The movie is shot primarily in black and white. I don't know if that was done for budgetary editing, whatever mixing reasons, but I think it was just an artistic choice because at one point it does pop into color. And when it does, there is a massive impact. I hope that's not considered a spoiler, but it's something to look forward to while you're watching this movie. And just because the subject matter is heavy and I keep saying depressing things and talking about it in that light, I do think it's worth a watch. It's one of those movies that you watch for, I guess, education and the art of filmmaking and the power of filmmaking more than the entertainment value. If you're looking for a pure piece of entertainment, this isn't for you, but that was never the intention. As I was saying, these 3 women knock it out of the park across the board. There's not a weak link. I was literally reminding myself whenever it switched from one person's story to the next, to the next, to the next, oh, this is still a movie. Yes, this whole scandal was a real thing in Ireland. It's tragic for the real life people, but these actresses are doing a great job telling kind of a probably more generic story. I don't think they were one-to-one based on a real person who actually went through the cervical scandal, just representations of that. Furthermore, a little bit past the midway of the movie, there's real audio from one of the actual victims. I don't think there's a better word than that. One of the victims of this medical malpractice scandal. And that, if the movie didn't click with you before that, and that doesn't do it, I mean, go get yourself checked out, because that impact of that was so tremendous. It does remind you that the other women are acting, but it's like they're not just making believe, they're informing you of something that happened. And here is a real person talking about what happened to them, their experience, and you can just hear the pain in their voice. And this is something that maybe not for everybody, but for a lot of people, death and the pain probably could have been relatively easily avoided had things been done properly. Along with the acting, it's shot very well. There's a lot of up close things. It's all shot in houses. Nothing feels like a soundstage. Nothing feels like a studio. The close-ups, extreme close-ups in a lot of cases, really get you in the mindset of the characters. It makes you feel like you're sitting across the table from them. It's a very intimate portrayal of this, and I really think that was probably the only way to shoot it. For the first half or so, before I took my first, well, I only took one intermission, before I took my little intermission, my one thought as a critique, and this is not, they did it objectively wrong, this is my opinion, was not enough time was spent on the diagnosis or the misdiagnosis or what have you. But as I finished the stories, or the three women's stories, I think Robbie made the absolute right call. Because while I wanted it to be more clinical and more just by the facts, that might have been something of a defense mechanism to make this more easily digestible. Because if you break things down into statistics and numbers, and here's how it happened, and here was the resulting lawsuits, and you just make it information, it doesn't hit you as hard. So for Robbie to take the film medium and make you feel it and make you get invested, your heart does break for the characters as well as the real life women. And at least in my case, it kind of pissed me off. Something more should have been done. At the very end, you get a few highlights of some court cases where some money changed hands. One company doesn't admit liability, maybe another one does. And by the way, these are big companies that also exist in America. So another reason why this is worth watching. I mean, Quest Diagnostics is called out. And in the last couple of years, given the pandemic and everything, I've been to a couple of Quest Diagnostics. If I was going for something more serious and then I hear this, that they're screwing this up and potentially killed a couple hundred people, I wouldn't be so thrilled with showing up there and giving them my faith and handing over my hard-earned money for them to maybe or maybe not do their jobs. That's the part that kind of pissed me off, is that this completely avoidable tragedy should have been avoided, and companies need to at least admit fault and try to course correct when they can. Because even when they found out, what if half of those people could have been saved? I mean, it's this whole wormhole I could go down. I don't mean to, be banging my gavel, standing on a soapbox, whatever phrase you want to use. It just, the letters makes you feel something. And I guess that is the ultimate compliment for the movie. So writer, director, Robbie Walsh, kudos to you. You did a fantastic job. And thank you for taking on such tough subject matter. There had to have been many points along the process where you just wanted to walk away, or maybe not bow out completely, but just take a break and clear your head, and to push forward and persevere and find this amazing cast of people. Because I only called out the main three women. The supporting casts were all equally as well. Anne Russell, who plays Bridget, I believe, was the mother with dementia that Kathleen's character Mary is taking care of, does a phenomenal job. If you've ever known someone in your life who had a mental illness like this at a more advanced age, you see the trend. That in itself is a movie. I mean, it's incredible how it's 4 movies in one for each individual character, and then the one collective. And these characters don't meet. They're never at a coffee shop day. They're not talking about what went wrong. It's just 3 independent people who are also brought together in a way that no one wants to be brought together. At this point, I feel like I'm just rambling in circles, but it is that impactful of a movie. and even admitting that I had to take an intermission for it just to kind of detox. So I went and watched Comic Book Men for a little bit, just total popcorn, light, fun. Just let me laugh a little bit and then go back into the letters. While it is heavy, I do highly recommend it. I watched it on Tubi TV. Tubi, as you know, always free. It does have ads. My only complaint with Tubi TV is when you're watching something like this and you're in this emotionally powerful scene, because the ads are not super well placed like in, cable TV or old style TV ad formatted. You get a ridiculous ad, a bunch of people having fun driving a car or something, and then right back to the black and white tragedy. It's not the movie's fault in any way. I understand Tubi does ads to pay the bills, which is why it's free for us. But The Letters is on Tubi. I believe it's also on Plex TV. You can probably find it in a bunch of other places, and I recommend you do. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe. We're back. We're back to movie reviews, comic reviews. We got some interviews in the works. A lot of things coming your way. Press passes for Rhode Island Comic Con are secured. We will be going to that at the end of October. So lots of stuff coming to the channel. You're not going to want to miss out. Like, subscribe, bell, whatever it is now. It seems like YouTube changes it every other time I'm on there. Also, make sure you listen to So Is Her Podcast every single week, wherever you get your podcasts. So Is Her Podcast can also be found on Patreon, where for as little as $1 a month, you get multiple monthly bonus shows. SoIsHerPodcast.com is your resource for reviews, recommendations, videos, merchandise, and more. We love hearing feedback. Drop something in the comments. Leave us something on social media. All of our accounts can be found after the show in the show notes. We are also on TikTok, which is not in the after card, and I will be adding it soon. So check us out there if you're so inclined. Thanks for watching. And on a more personal note, a good friend and I have an ongoing comedy comic series. It's been a little bit slow, but we are still hard at work. We're picking up the pace again. We're getting right back to it. Chapter 2 is almost wrapped up, which is going to be 6 issues, with the 6th being a bonus-sized Christmas special, just like the 90s sitcoms and cartoons that Social Studies is based on, goes after. Find all that and more, socialstudiescomic.com or on Comixology. Thanks.